friends. I'm coming to you on the early side of a winter storm warning in the South. And if you live in the South or have any knowledge of winter weather in the South, it's kind of humorous unless it's serious. So we currently have a winter weather advisory of some sort, and they're doing all the plans of having warming centers open for our neighbors that don't have access to reliable heating or have medical needs where they need reliable power. Where I'm at, kind of right around Atlanta area, the main issue for us anytime we get a winter weather advisory is the ice and taking down power lines, making roads impassable. I believe we're supposed to get snow in the mountains, which I wish I was in the mountains. I love the mountains. The North Georgia mountains, best place to be. So we're just really expecting icy conditions, maybe some sleet, maybe some snow flurries, but who knows? Anyway, point being, this is not a weather channel. This is a book channel. I went to the library to make sure, not that I don't have books to read, but I had a few holds come in, and I thought I would share with you because if I'm going to be stuck inside all weekend, reading, one of my favorite things to do. So I mentioned in my recent book haul, which I'll link below, that I had a great conversation with a bookseller at a bookstore near my sister lives in Cincinnati, and two of the books that she recommended were out at her store, and I just remembered them and put requests for them. One of them that she recommended is by Amy Bloom. It's called I'll Be Right Here, and this is about a young girl named Ghazala immigrating alone from Paris to New York after World War II. She becomes friends with two sisters, Anne and Alma. When Ghazala's lost beloved brother Samir joins her in Manhattan, this contentious, inseparable foursome makes their way into the 21st century, becoming the beating heart of a multi-generational found family. The passing years are marked by the business of everyday existence and the inevitable surprises of erupting passions, of great and small waves of joy and despair, from the beginning of life to its end. And it goes into a little bit more of the storylines, but I'm interested. I think I've read Amy Bloom before. I want to say I've read Away by her, maybe. That sounds sort of familiar. And then the other author that she recommended is David Ray Pollock. And she said to start with The Heavenly Table, which is this one. And it is 1917 in that sliver of borderland that divides Georgia from Alabama. Dispossessed former Pearl Jewett is dead, and he leaves behind his three sons to eke out a hardscrabble life of their own. Kane, the eldest, handsome, intelligent; Cobb, short, heavyset, a bit slow; and Chimney, the youngest, thin, ill-tempered. The brothers set out on horseback to pillage their way to wealth and infamy, inspired by a lurid dime-store novel that only one of them can read. But the heaven they've imagined may be worse than the hell they sought to escape. So, and then some other characters that come into it as well. I'm curious just to try the writing. She spoke very highly of him. And then a couple others that have been recommended that I've heard about. This was on somebody's year-end list, or maybe it was a list. I heard about this from booktube. I'm really bad at remembering where, but this is called Endling by Maria Riva. And Ukraine 2002, Yiva is a loner and a maverick scientist who lives out of her mobile lab. She scours the country's forests and valleys trying and failing to breed rare snails. While her relatives urge her to settle down and finally start a family of her own, what they don't know, Yiva already dates plenty of men, not for love, but to fund her work, entertaining Westerners who come to Ukraine on guided romance tours, believing they'll find docile brides untainted by feminism and modernity. Nastia and her sister Solomaya are also entangled in the booming marriage industry, posing as a hopeful bride and her translator while secretly searching for their missing mother who vanished after years of fierce activism against the romance tours. Together, they embark on the journey of a lifetime across hundreds of miles. Three angry women, a truck full of kidnapped bachelors, and Lefty, a last-of-his-kind snail with one final shot at perpetuating his species. But their plans come to a screeching halt when Russia invades. And then it goes on from there. So I don't think I've read much of anything based in Ukraine. So we'll definitely try that one. This is Heart Be at Peace by Donal Ryan. I think this one, it was the Irish Literature Book of the Year. I can't see because it's covered up, but it won. I'm pretty sure that's what it won. In a small town in Ireland, the local people have weathered the storm of economic collapse and now look to the future. The jobs are back, the dramas of the past seemingly lulled, and although the town bears the scars of its history, new stories have begun to unfold. But an insidious menace now creeps through back alley shadows and into the lives of the townspeople. Old grudges fester and new ones arise. Young people are lured by the promise of fast money, while the generation above them tries to hold back the tide of an enemy beyond their control. And the peace of this town is about to be shattered in an unimaginable way. I've never read Donal Ryan, and I've always been interested to try his writing because I do enjoy Irish literature. A poetry collection that I had heard about. This is I Hope You Remember, Poems on Loving, Longing, and Living by Josie Balka. I can't remember anyone I've ever seen at a public pool with such a memorable body, good or bad, that I think about it ever again. If these lines sound familiar, it's because you've heard them in the background of thousands of videos on social media. A humbling reminder from poet Josie Balka that the way you are will always be more important than the way you look. This is her debut poetry collection. It includes this famous poem and more than 80 others, many of which are published here for the first time. They look at the universal experiences like jealousy, family relationships, complex body images, falling in and out of love with others and yourself, and the never-changing lens of nostalgia. And then this last one was recommended. I think I've mentioned on here before that I'm a member of a couple of Patreon groups. One of the creators, Hannah Mae, doesn't do videos on booktube anymore, but she does still have her Patreon, and she always puts out like questions for great reviews or recommendations. And she recommended this. She is a go-to for anything like cult or religious lives, any kind of those recommendations. And in her recent list that she did, she recommended Cloistered, My Years as a Nun by Catherine Coldstream. And this is about Catherine, who kind of shares her experience in the Carmelite monastery in the 1990s. After the death of her father, the English painter William Coldstream, Catherine was searching for a new life. She thought she had found it at Akenside Priory, where she entrusted herself to a group of 20 silent women, believing she had entrusted herself to God. As the beauty and mystery of an ancient way of life enfolded her, she surrendered wholly to its power, quite unaware of the complexity and dangers that lay ahead. Cut off from the wider world for decades, the Akenside community had managed to evade accountability to an authority beyond itself. When Sister Catherine realized that a mesmerizing cult of personality had replaced the ancient ideal of religious obedience, she was faced with a dilemma. Would she submit, or would she be forced to speak up? So, look forward to trying this one. I think that's all I got. And I also just got a hold come in on Libby for Raising Hair. I'm going to put it right here because I can't remember the author. This was a nonfiction book that was on prize list last year for nonfiction. Pretty sure it was on the Women's Prize for Fiction or Nonfiction long list at least. And, you know, my memory's really bad. I can't remember if it won or shortlisted. But I'm actually going to use this because one of the prompts for Ben Reads Good's Reading Good Challenge this month is Scrumary with food on the cover. And it has a rabbit on the cover. I don't eat rabbit, but some people do. And so that's going to count for that. I look forward to listening to that, maybe while there's snow and ice all around me. So anyway, that's my library haul. If you're in an area that's getting bad weather this weekend, I hope you stay safe and maybe have some good reading time. Thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to support my channel, please consider subscribing, hit the like button, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.